Hi everyone. In today's section, we're going to be taking the skills that we've learned and we're going to use order of operations to simplify expressions. Take a few seconds to kind of recall the order of operations that we talked about, and you can write those rules below. So feel free to pause the video and try to remember what the order of operation rules were and write those down, and then unpause when you're ready. We first want to take care of parentheses, and that involves any grouping symbol. So we would work inner to outer. We would have parentheses and do whatever's inside the parentheses first. And if we have brackets, we would then work within the brackets. And then we would deal with braces. And then we want to look at exponents, take care of those. And then we would multiply or divide in the order they occur. And then we would add or subtract in the order that they occur. Okay, but whatever you do, you want to make sure you multiply or divide before you add or subtract. So take a few seconds to try the check your understanding problems and see if you remember how to work those out. So in letter A, we've got -2 in parentheses to the fourth power. So remember, that just means we're going to have -2 times -2 times -2 times -2. And we can multiply 2 at a time. So -2 times -2, that gives us 4 times 4, which is 16. Now in letter B, it looks like the same problem as A, but it's not, because here it's just the 2 that's being raised to the fourth power, not the negative. So we're going to just put the negative on the outside, and here it's just 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. So here we would have -16. And then in C, we've got 3 times 6 times 6. And 3 times 6 gives me 18. So now I need to do 18 times 6. And 8 times 6 gives me 48. So I'm going to put down the 8 and carry the 4. And I'm going to multiply 6 times 1, which is 6, plus the 4. 6 plus 4 is 10. So my final answer is 108. So here we're going to use integers. We're going to use order of operations to simplify the expressions. So in A, I'm going to take care of the numerator first. Remember, my numerator is the top part of the fraction, and the denominator is the bottom part of the fraction. So in the top, I'm going to multiply -6 times 2. And remember, when you multiply unlike signs, you get a negative. So I have -12 over -3. Remember, fractions are just division problems. So I've got -12 divided by -3. Remember, when you divide like signs, you get a positive answer. 12 divided by 3 gives us 4. In letter B, I'm going to take care of the numerator first. So I've got 12 minus 16. So really what I have is 12, and then remember, we're going to think of it like this. You're going to change the minus to a plus, change the sign of the second number. So really what I have there is 12 plus -16. And then in the denominator, I've got -1 plus 3. Then we need to remember our rules. So in the numerator, I'm adding 2 signs that are different, so they're unlike. So I'm going to subtract 16 minus 12, which is 4, and then you take the sign of the bigger number. What's bigger, 12 or 16? 16's bigger, so it's going to be a -4. And then in the denominator, I'm again adding unlike numbers, unlike signs. So I'm going to subtract 3 minus 1 is 2. Take the sign of the bigger number. The bigger number is 3, and it's positive. And then I've got -4 divided by 2. Again, you're dividing unlike signs, you get a negative, and 4 divided by 2 is 2. So my final answer is -2. In letter C, I need to take care of the exponents first. So -2 cubed, remember, just means -2 times -2 times -2. And -2 times -2 is 4. And 4 times -2 is -8. So -2 cubed is -8. I'm just going to carry down the 60 and the 30. So what I have is 60 plus 30 minus 8. Now I've got addition and subtraction next to each other, so I just go in order. So 60 plus 30 gives me 90, and 90 subtract 8 is 82. In letter D, I've got -4 squared. So now remember, the negative is not being squared, just the 4. 4 squared is 4 times 4, which is 16. So if I just bring the negative, I've got -16 plus. Now here, the negative is being squared. It's -3 in parentheses squared. So -3 times -3 is +9. And then again, I've got just the 1 being cubed. So I'm just going to bring down the minus, and 1 to the third is just 1. It's 1 times 1 times 1. 1 to any power is 1. Now I've got addition and subtraction next to each other, so I'm just going to go left to right in the order they occur. So I'm going to take care of this part first. -16 plus 9, those signs are different, so I'm going to have to subtract them. 16 minus 9, which gives me 7. Take the sign of the bigger number, and I'm going to bring down the -1. When you subtract, remember to change the minus to a plus, change the sign of the second number. Now I've got a -7 plus a -1. They're both negative, and I'm adding. So we just add and keep the sign. So your final answer would be -8. For letter E, I've got parentheses I need to deal with. So I'm going to take care of 4 minus 7 first. So I'm subtracting, change the minus to a plus, change the sign of the second number. 4 plus -7. The signs are different, so I'm going to need to subtract, take the sign of the bigger number. 7 minus 4 is 3, and 7's bigger, and it's negative. So I've got 3 times -3, and then plus -2 minus 5. I need to use order of operations. I've got to multiply first. 3 times -3 is -9. I'm going to bring everything else down. And now I've just got pluses and minuses next to each other. Just remember, when you're subtracting, change the minus to a plus, change the sign of the second number. So now I have -9 plus -2, which is -11, plus -5. Again, I'm adding two signs that are the same, so my final answer is going to be -11 plus 5 is 16. In letter F, I've got a power I need to take care of, and I have an absolute value, which is considered a grouping symbol. So I have -3 times the absolute value of a number. Remember, is a number's distance from 0. It's always positive. So the absolute value of -5 is really just +5. And then I have two negatives next to each other. They become positive, right? Because I'm going to change the minus to a plus, change the sign of the second number, and just carry this down. So I've got this. I'm going to take care of 4 to the second power, which is 16. Okay, so actually you could have even done that in that step there if you wanted. Now I'm going to multiply. I have to multiply before I add. So -3 times 5 gives me -15, plus 2 plus 16. I've got addition next to each other. You're just going to go left to right. So -15 plus 2 is -13. Bring down the plus 16. The signs are different. I'm going to subtract. 16 minus 13 is 3, and take the sign of the bigger number. So the answer is 3. And in letter G, I've got brackets, and inside of those brackets I have parentheses. So let's deal with the grouping symbols first. We want to do parentheses, which are any grouping symbols. So I'm going to bring down the -2. I'm going to work inner to outer, so I'm going to deal with this first, -1 plus 6. I'm going to bring everything else down. -1 plus 6 is 5. Now I'm going to look at the brackets, and I need to multiply before I add. So 2 times 5 gives me 10. Now I can combine the inside of the brackets. -3 plus 10 is 7. So I've got -2 times 7 minus 5. After you simplify the -3 and the 10, if you noticed, I put parentheses right here, because at that point the brackets go away, so it really doesn't matter. You just need to know that you're taking the -2 and you're multiplying it to the sum that you get in the brackets. So now I need to multiply before I subtract. So I have to do -2 times 7, which is -14, minus 5. Okay, and I'm subtracting, so change the minus to a plus, change the sign of the second number. And now I'm adding two negatives, a -14 and a -5, so my answer is going to be negative. Just add the 14 and the 5, you get -19. Okay, you all can try to check your understanding. I will give you the answers here so you can double check and make sure you are on the right track, but you can work these out. It's good practice. So for A, you should get 5. B is 3. C is 16. D, you should get 9. E is -29. F is -35. And G is -23. So also go practice with your sign numbers. What we're going to do now is we're going to evaluate, which remember is just replace the variable with the given numbers and then simplify. So in letter A, I'm going to evaluate for two different expressions. First, I'm going to evaluate x squared when x is -11. So that just means I'm going to plug in -11 and square it. And then I'm going to take this expression and plug in -11. So remember, this negative here kind of just stays on the outside. We'll use it at the end. And then you're plugging in -11 in place of the x and squaring it. So according to order of operations, I have to take care of exponents first. I have to do this part first. So this negative kind of just follows it. And we already learned that -11 squared is just 121. We found that in the last problem. So my answer is just -121. In letter B, I have the expression 6z squared. So first I'm going to substitute a 2 in, and then I'm going to substitute a -2. Okay, so first it tells me z equals 2, so I'm substituting in a 2. And then z equals -2, so I'm substituting in -2. And if you think of order of operations, you would need to take care of powers first. So first I have to do 2 squared. And we know 2 squared is just 4. It's 2 times 2. So I've got 6 times 4, which is 24. And for the second one, I need to, again, take care of this -2 squared. And -2 times -2 is just +4 again. So I end up getting the same answer, 24. For letter C, I'm evaluating in 3 places. I know x is 3, so I'm going to substitute 3 there. Y is -5, I'm going to substitute -5 there. And z is -4, and that's going to go in for z. So I have 3 plus 2 times -5 minus z. So be very careful with the negative and the negative. And according to order of operations, I need to multiply first. So I'm going to do 2 times -5, which is -10. And then remember, when you're subtracting, you change the minus to a plus, change the sign of the second number. And I'm subtracting again, change the minus to a plus, change the sign of the second number. So now if I do 3 plus negative 10, that gives me negative 7, plus 4, which is negative 3. And for letter D, I'm substituting negative 4 in for x. Again, be careful of your negatives. That's a minus sign, and then I have my negative 4 here in place of x. So I have to take care of negative 4 squared, which is just negative 4 times negative 4, which is 16. And then I'm going to change the minus to a plus, change the sign of the second number. Okay, 7 plus negative 16 would give me negative 9. And I'm getting that because, remember, when you're adding unlike signs, you subtract the numbers. 16 minus 7 is 9. And then you take the sign of the bigger number. 16 is bigger than 7, and 16 is negative. So my answer is going to be negative. Here's some more check your understanding problems. So again, you can do this on your own, but you're getting 225 and negative 225 for your two answers for A. You'll get 96 for both answers for B. For C, you should get positive 33. And for D, you get negative 60. And that's it for the lesson. If you have any questions, please reach out to me. And also remember that you have the Learning Support Center in DPAC 330 also available to you for extra help. Okay, have a great day, everyone.